It means I bow, I affirm natural in you. Because that is what naturality teachings are all about. It's not about divine or God. Even an atheist have the naturality or the naturalness. So welcome and good morning. And we will pick up our threads where we left yesterday. Some of you are new. Do you understand my English? Because still it contains traces of Indianness. So I will speak slowly. And if you don't understand, please stop me, or at any point you can ask a question. So before we proceed on the theme of the day, which is yoga of love and relationship, I would like to summarize in few minutes what we talked yesterday, because some of you are new. So yesterday we introduced naturality, another interpretation of truth, another way of looking at human being and whole of the universe. Naturality is a movement which we are trying to create in context of emerging world culture, which is very new, is still a young baby, because we want to bring in a very harmonious fashion the wisdom of the West and the East, and not a fusion, but integrating it on the whole spectrum of consciousness. And we define naturality as neither religious nor spiritual, but natural. And we explained it yesterday. The fundamental core of naturality is that the central problem of human life is fear and guilt. Fear and guilt. And those two problems, they haunt us. They start around the age of 3 to 4 years, and rest of the life we just try to free ourselves from them. And the moment we become free, we experience a sense of peace, passion, and bliss, because that is the very nature of human being. So that is the essence of naturality. That is how we start. And the second very important dimension of naturality is that all of us are enlightened and all of us are unenlightened. And what that means is all of us already reached a particular level of maturity of consciousness, but still we have to go further. A lot of people ask me, are you enlightened? I say yes and no. Yes, in the sense, crossed many levels of consciousness, but still something more has to come, because it is an infinite movement. The moment you will say, I'm finally enlightened, means we are dead, because it is not finite, it is not limited. Nobody can claim they are finally enlightened. But you are enlightened too. Only problem is, in most people, their wisdom, their insight, their knowing and knowledge, their experiences, they remain fragmented. Fragmented. And what enlightenment is, when those fragments come together, they form a beautiful, a sacred wholeness. If they remain fragmented, we struggle, we are in conflict, we wander. That is why we are trying to gain more and more knowledge, more and more skills, more and more practice. But it won't matter. No matter how much knowledge you gain, unless there is a sense of self-knowing, those pieces of life won't come together. They will remain like puddles of water. But those same puddles of water, drops of water, they combine, they form a small stream. A stream becomes a river, and river flows. And river is the one which arrives at its destination, which is ocean. So, in what we do in naturality, we don't do anything new. We interpret or we initiate a process in which all these fragments of life, wisdom, insight, they come together and they form wholeness. And out of that wholeness, something extraordinary is born, a new level of consciousness. We move vertically. So that is what we explored yesterday. And then we talked about the love, that very fabric of our universe is love. Each atom, molecule, human being, galaxy and planets, their essence is love. It is not an act of faith. So we went to 4,000 years old hymn of creation from Rig Veda. I have a copy here. It is called Nasadya Su. It's a very, very old hymn based on Shruti. Shruti means which is heard directly, which was perceived directly. And the essence of this hymn is that in the beginning was pure consciousness without any desire. And in that pure consciousness arose the desire, the calm, the love. And what was that love? It was self-love. What self-love is? It is desire to know myself. Most of the time, our love is to know the world, the external nature, the outsiders. But when the arrow of consciousness is pointed inside, then we have such an intense desire to know ourselves. Who am I? And this hymn says that in this unconditioned pure consciousness, which is equivalent to nothingness, a desire arose to know itself, self-love. And when the desire arose, out of that sprang forth the whole cosmos, the whole universe. So very basis, the very emergence, very source of our cosmos or universe is self-love. Self-love. And the love, the word itself comes from lug, a Sanskrit word that means desire also. Because what is love? It is a desire. It is desire to grow, desire to unite, desire to evolve. So all those terms, they are condensed in lug, the love. And in naturality, we formed 5 new yogas. Because a lot of you are practicing yogas. You took many courses, 200 hours, 100 hours, and so on and so forth. People do that. But ultimately, what is the use of that? The problem is you will learn in 200 hours all asanas, all pranayam, all techniques, but how to apply it? How to apply in a specific situation to a specific problem? So I have a problem, how to apply yoga, and nobody tells us. Nobody tells us how to apply meditation. That is why in Naturality we felt we are going to form Panch Yoga, the 5 yogas. That whatever skills you have, how to apply in a specific situation. So the first yoga is yoga of love and relationship, because that is a very big crisis in our world. And the reason being, as soon as we become comfortable physically, as we survive easily, as we are safe, the next problem comes, the problem of love and relationship. Because we have enough time to reflect on our condition and we start searching for love and very enduring relationship. So that is why we thought it's a very big crisis. Because I'm teaching here for the last 4 years and many people come and they talk about mostly love and relationship. Things are falling apart. They don't have a strong shoulder to lean upon. They don't trust what happened. They question. So the yoga of love and relationship is the first one. The second problem, the yoga of emotions and mental health. And this is nothing negative. So please don't think these mental health problems with which we are suffering, anxiety and depression, they are negative. They are positive. Because we are in the process of transition, stage of transition. They are bound to happen. But we have to deal with it. And how to deal with it, that is what we explore in yoga of emotions and mental health. The third is beauty. The yoga of complete beauty. Because we have to change the criteria of beauty. Initially, the beauty was just a local phenomena, regional phenomena. Tall or short, dark or light, long nose, short nose, small eyes, big muscles, small muscles. They were very relevant when we were living in isolation. Now we are becoming a one family, so we have to redefine what is the criteria of beauty. Inner beauty as well as external beauty. So that is why the yoga of beauty. The next thing is, lots of us are going to live a very long life. 100 years ago, average life expectancy was 25 to 30 years. And now we are living up to the ripe age of 80 to 90 years. Now what to do with this aging process? Should I behave like a young person? A young girl or a boy, like a teenage? Doesn't sound very good. So how not only to accept our aging and old age, and how to make it an age of exploration, adventure. And that was covered almost 3,000 years ago by many Indian thinkers and sages, and they called this Vanprastha. Enter into the mystery, find yourself. So that is covered in yoga of aging and old age, and finally the yoga of death and dying, the primal fear, the curse of becoming conscious. If we remain not conscious, death is not a problem. The moment we become aware, this is the core problem, and that core problem creates fear and also guilt. So these are the Panch Yogas, 5 yogas, which we are going to explore in Naturality, but here we are exploring the yoga of love and relationship. Any questions? Anything which is not clear? Right. So the question comes, what is love? Because love is a feeling. Love is not about hearing, touching, that is just merely the expression. But the love is a feeling. Feeling which is beyond all feelings. It is not an emotion. Emotion is a part of love, but love is not an emotion. That is why if you go into the study of emotions, 6 primary emotions, and love is not mentioned. Those 6 emotions are fear and anger, happiness and sadness, disgust and surprise. Love is not mentioned. Because love is not an emotion. Love is a feeling beyond feelings. And just to emphasize, the most beautiful things of life are feelings. Love is a feeling. What is fulfillment? It is a feeling. What is meaning? It is a feeling. What is destiny? It is a feeling. What is enlightenment? It is feeling. What is nirvana? It is a feeling. What is samadhi? It is feeling. So you go to anything which is at the very core of human life is a feeling. Love is a feeling too. But still we will try to comprehend in terms of intellect how to describe love. How to describe love. What are the features of love? When we are in love, I'm pretty sure everybody was in love, they experienced very deep love. What is the feeling when we are in love? What we do? The number 1, we want to unite. Union with the object or the subject or the person whom we are loving. Right? Because that is what we want to do. And what is the definition of yoga? Union. Love is yoga. If we are able to do it, all yogas are accomplished. And you need not to do it. Because love is already there. It has to be discovered. We have to become merely aware. That is what we said. The very origin of the universe, the hymn of creation affirms that. And that is not speculation. That was a direct experience. And I affirm that direct experience myself. Yes, indeed. When we move on this path, we reach to the state where no desires are left. Our inner being, our body is so full that there is no place, there is no deficiency in it, so there is no place for the desire. But then you come down from the desireless state and the desires come. So I affirm that hymn very personally by personal experience. And all of you will affirm once you come to that point. So love has to be discovered. We cannot create love. If we try to create love, it will be artificial. It will fall apart. It won't endure the shocks of the life, jolts of the life. Only the natural love endures and survives, and lives, flourishes, grows, and reaches its destination. So the first expression of love is union. I want to unite with the object or the subject of love. What is the second experience of love inside? Is feeling of bliss, ecstasy, joy, well-being. Because when we are in love with anything, even if I love my new car, the moment you see, moment you touch, you feel so great, you are elated. Your brain's pleasure centers are awakened in that moment. So love is a pleasure moment. And as it moves, it comes to the bliss. The whole brain is awakened with love. So that is why love is very addictive. Love is very addictive. Because the same neurochemicals are involved which are involved in addiction. So if you are taking cocaine, what neurotransmitter is stimulated? It is dopamine, serotonin, endorphin, anandamide, norepinephrine, glutamate. So if you go into the chemistry of love, and very beautifully described by a great researcher, Helen Fisher, her marvelous book, Why We Love. She explored what happens to our brain, and she found we so are addicted to love. That is why Romeo and Juliet, they will give their lives for the sake of love. Their addiction was incurable. It was so serious and so deep. They said it doesn't matter. That's the beauty of love. So the second experience of love is a sense of well-being, a sense of elation when we see the beloved or whatever everywhere. Our whole life is soaked with it. So that is the second experience of love. What is the third experience of love? It is absence of fear. Absence of fear. If fear is there, love cannot be there. If love is there, fear cannot be there. Why? Because when we are in love, the amygdala, an organ of the brain which is responsible for the perception of fear and anger, is completely bypassed. We cannot experience fear. That is why when children are frightened, when mother gives love, it disappears. So that is the third quality of love, what we call love, the experience of love. What is the fourth one? In love, we grow. Because the quality of love is we open up. Because love is rebellious, love is revolutionary. That is why in ancient societies, when we lived as a community, tribe, village, people were frightened, parents were frightened of love. Because love was rebellious. Because there was a social structure, a tribal structure, a religious structure, and here comes the two people who fall in love. And what they do? The first thing, they defy all the social rules and conventions and conditioning. That is why love is called blind. It is not blind. It has its own eyes, but it refuses to see from social eyes. So in many ancient societies, they used to kill the lovers. They didn't allow them because it was too much. Even now, in certain parts of India, Asia, what they do, if the two people fall in love in a village, not in a city, cities are more open, they will do honor killing. How you could fall in love without my permission? Ask the father and the mother. But without shattering social convention, we cannot grow because they are the chains of conditioning. And love is the one which defies, is so powerful. So we grow, that is the quality of love. And as we grow in love, we defy more and more. Even a point comes when we reject God. We reject divine. And in that moment, we take a leap into the ultimate experience of love, which we call unconditional love. Unconditional love. Unconditional love is not between two. All other love before that are created by relationship. Unconditional love is without relationship. There is no relationship. Because there are not two anymore. Before that, even God. In God, there are two. Here is the God, here I am, a devotee of God. In unconditional love, even that relationship comes to an end. I become the God. That is why they say, Aham Brahmasmi. I am the infinite, I am the eternal. And that is what is called unconditional love. And the last experience of love is meaning. Our life becomes so meaningful in love. Everything is filled with meaning. When I fell in love at the age of 28, love at first sight, everything was just full of meaning. The clouds, the river, sitting in Rishikesh here looking at the cloud, and clouds was so meaningful first time because I could see the face of my beloved. I was seeing her everywhere. It was a madness because that is what happens. Life is suddenly fills with meaning. So these are the 5 features of love. Any other feature anybody experienced, we can add to that, because naturality is not a system. It is an open platform to contribute, to add, to delete. Anybody has anything experienced in love? Okay. If you remember something, you can add. Okay. So after that, defining the love in science, in physiology, they define love as motivation. Just like hunger and thirst, love is motivation. So they reduced it to so fundamental that just like I'm hungry, in order to survive, I have to feed myself, I'm thirsty, I have to drink water. They say it is the same. Love is so fundamental. So to motivation, hunger and thirst, of course, they add shelter and warmth also, but then another is love. It is the very foundation of human life. So after clearing that, now we come to yoga of love and relationship. Now, what is yoga of love and relationship? Yoga of love and relationship is a movement. It is a movement because it is dynamic. So yoga of love and relationship is a movement to open many doors to experience love, to fill our life with love. That is the whole goal of it. Because there are so many doors, and we start talking about those doors. But the doors are closed because we are not aware. And all yoga, all this path is about single thing, to become conscious. Because everything is already there. As I said, you are already enlightened. But you are not aware because everything is so fragmented. Once it comes together, you are suddenly aware and they say, yeah, it was already there. So that is what yoga of love and relationship is. It is a movement to become aware those doors of love. And once we enter into those doors, then the whole celebration begins. Life is filled, which we search for, that wholeness, the sacredness, that joy, that happiness. So yoga of love and relationship is that movement and process. And how this process works, it needs 3 things. Sometimes it doesn't need anything. But if you ask me, because the mind wants to really know, okay, I know that there is a love and I want to proceed into it. I want to open that door, what I need to do. There are 3 things. Number 1 is passion. Real intense desire. Without that, no matter what you do, everything will become mechanical. Even if you do meditation practice, even if you do chanting, even if you do yoga, if that desire, and that is why Patanjali was very clever, and it's in his second limb, because there is 8 limbs in Patanjali's yoga. In the second limb, which is called Niyam, he put the word tapas, tapasya. Tapasya, tapas means heat. What is that heat? Heat means passion. If I don't have passion, everything becomes a chore, a skill, a routine. It won't take us anywhere. And that is very much in the nature of the body itself, that what we call body in balance has passion for growth. So if you ask a physiologist, they will say that body is always trying to move forward in spite of the fact that it is balanced. That is what is called tapas, passion. Unless passion is there, nothing is going to materialize. So that is why in naturality we always say, first of all, know your passion, about which you are passionate. Because this is the nature's gift, that it gives each and every person some passion. But if I am following others, I will miss my passion. So for example, I became a medical doctor. It was a very good thing to happen, because in those days, in 1983, I finished my MD and I could gain status, lot of money, but I was not passionate about it. I was a child specialist. And when these babies were crying in my ward, I said, oh, good Lord, where I am. And these worried mothers coming to me, they say, oh, baby is crying. What I wanted to do, inject a sedative to the mother so they will sleep peacefully and they won't come to me. Why? I was not passionate. But when it came to philosophy, suddenly I was awakened. I was reading Schopenhauer, Immanuel Kant, Bertrand Russell, Nietzsche, and I didn't understand them much. But without even understanding, I wanted to know. And that is why in naturality we say, don't proceed on your path unless you know what really makes you alive. What makes you alive and vibrant. Because once you become alive and vibrant, you will become a fireball. You will just burn all obstacles. So in naturality, we start with natural personality. We don't start with the idea of God or divine or samadhi or nirvana and all kinds of non-dual things. We say, come to this mind and body. And that is what Shivaji does. Because through that, you discover the door to your mind and body. Ultimately, what makes you alive? That is why on the path of yoga and of love and relationship, first thing is passion. Because we love one or the other thing. Because love is not only confined to romantic love, love towards our children, love towards our parents. Love is very expansive, and I'm going to explore all the 7 colors of love. Unconditional love is like a white ray, a ray of light. And when it falls on the prism of human consciousness, it splits into 7 colors, just like spectrum. And those are the 7 colors of love. And you will find your love, your passion, somewhere along this spectrum. We will explore, we will start with the first color. So first thing is passion, second thing is philosophy. Philosophy means you have to understand. Why? Because mind will be very keen to know. So you have to feed your mind. And this is the philosophy of science also. So you have to understand, because once you understand, you are not floating in vagueness blindly. Just like I was saying, if you understand yoga, physical yoga, you can create your own sequence. It is not difficult. Once we don't understand yoga, then I keep on following somebody else's sequence which may not be appropriate for my body. I do 2 yogasanas, 2 poses every day, and that is around 4 o'clock in my bed. I wake up around 3 to 4 o'clock and I do 2 poses every single night. Wonderful. To me, that is essence of all yoga. Because all those complex posture I can't do, my body is not meant for that, because my personality is meant. So you have to understand. So finding passion in philosophically, scientifically understanding is very, very important. Because if you don't understand things scientifically, biologically, then there is an unnecessary mysticism. Unnecessary things become mystical, they are not necessary. Like about 1,000 years ago, when we looked at the clouds, dark clouds, and there was thunder and lightning, people thought it was all something very mystical, the curse of gods and all those things. Now we can fly over those clouds and know it is a simple natural phenomenon. Because we want to go in real mystery. We don't want to just waste our time in unnecessary things which are not really mystical. That is why after passion comes philosophy. And the final one is practice. Practice. So, passion, philosophy, practice. You find a practice which suits your nature. All practices are not good for everyone. And what is the role of the practice? The role of the practice is to relax you, to create a space. So you will say, okay, I'm sitting 40 minutes in meditation. What you are doing? You are creating a space for yourself. This practice won't take you ultimately there. Ultimate, when you will experience highest kind of love, all practices will be dropped. If you are still continuing with the practice, that means still there is a lot more to come. Because practice is only for the beginning. Because who created the practice? My mind, my ego. Sit like this, do like this, breathe like this, so on and so forth. Very beautiful. But you have to understand, practice cannot take you. Practice can take you up to here. After that, everything becomes spontaneous. You don't have any control. Still, if you have control, means it is an ego game. The mind is churning it all. But in the beginning, practice is absolutely vital because it creates a beautiful space. So if you say love is a flower, what is practice? Practice is a fence. When in the beginning, flower is very delicate. Seed just sprouted. It has to be protected. You have to create fence. Everything is there. But once your love become a mighty tree, if you create, still the fence is there, it will suffocate the flower. Now it is a mighty tree. It has to grow. It has to reach its full potential. So these are the 3 basics of the movement of yoga, of love and relationship. Please, question.
How do I know that when to stop my practice? Like if I'm practicing yoga asanas for so many years.
Right. It's a very beautiful question. How I know when to stop practice? A time will come when these energies will be flowing in you. First of all, why you do a particular yoga pose? In order to facilitate the movement of energy in your body, which we call nadis, channels, meridian, right? Because they are blocked. So what I'm trying to do by yoga pose, I'm trying to facilitate the smooth flow of the energy in those nadis, channels and meridian. So for example, dog. Dog does downward dog pose, or cat pose, or a child pose, or a peacock pose. All kinds of poses were observed in different animals, birds, and human beings. Okay. So why they do those poses? Because by doing those poses, automatically they are facilitating the smooth flow of energy. That is why we do yoga pose. So hoping that that smooth flow of the energy will happen. In this moment, what you will experience, that your whole body was filled with this energy, and your body is automatically taking different pose. So your prime experience will be the flow of energy, streams of energy crisscrossing your body, and your body automatically taking the pose without even being conscious to facilitate. And the moment that happens, you will know that you don't need that. Because now your body is feeling so supple, it is feeling so satisfied, it is feeling so contented, and you are experiencing it physically. Same thing will happen with pranayam. Pranayam will start happening to you automatically, and meditation will also happen automatically. So totality of your practices will be.
Sometimes, like if I'm doing it from so many years, so it become I'm conditioned from it. It's my habit.
Yes.
To do it every single day.
That's correct.
Like sometimes, if I don't do it, I feel something like less that I have to do it.
That's correct.
So, isn't it conditioning also, the yogic conditioning?
It is. But in those moments, it will be all spontaneous. Yeah. It won't be a habit anymore, because every day your body will take a different pose. Every day your pranayam will be different. Every day your meditative experience will be different. That's the beauty of it. Because now you are connected with life, so everything is spontaneous. That is the quality. Do we understand? Any question about it? Right. So, passion, philosophy, practice. And then comes the first door to the love, the beautiful body. That is the first door to the love. Only thing which is alive in us. Our mind is not alive. Mind is all memory. This very body is the only happening which is alive. And if this body becomes alive, fully functional, we will connect it to the whole nature effortlessly. Because it is the very palpable, very tangible nature which created this body. But our connection is broken from the outer nature because of our mind, because our thinking, because of our memory, because we are nothing else but memory. So the first great door to the yoga of love and relationship is body. But it's very unfortunate, we don't accept this body. This body is a slave to the vagaries of our emotions and thinking, our ideas, our plan, our future, our past. So this body suffers. This body is like a slave. If this body becomes functional, it's the number one miracle. So much so that a great sage, U.G. Krishnamurti, it is not J. Krishnamurti because there were two Krishnamurtis. One was J. Krishnamurti who was more popular, but there was another one, rather a wild character. So people who went to him, they burned themselves. Uncompromising, roaring sage. And he said that ultimately it's all about one thing: salvation of the body, nirvana of the body, samadhi of the body, liberation of the body. He said this body is soaked into thoughts. And those thoughts are like hooked to each cell, and they don't allow cell of the body to function with its natural rhythm. Because, as you know, in the mind-body medicine, now I would like to describe a little bit of science here. It is called mind-body medicine or psycho-neuro-immuno-endocrinology, long name. But the meaning is, whatever your mind thinks, it affects your brain, it affects your immune system, it affects your endocrine system, it affects your each cell. So if I am carrying an emotion or thought again and again, it will be embedded into each cell of your body, which we call cell memory. Memory in the cell. Now what is the problem here? This memory interferes with the natural functioning of the cell. Because cell is a fully functional organism in us. A single cell is capable of full function. It eats, it digests, it reproduces, it celebrates, it does all kinds of things. But our body is so compromised because of our very long conditioned mind. It is not really functioning fully. So that is why U.G. Krishnamurti said it is the salvation of body, nirvana of the body, samadhi of the body. Once your cells are released, liberated from the tyranny, the cruelty, the imposition of the mind, this body becomes a source of bliss. Why? Because where is the bliss? Because in spirituality we talk always about bliss. Where is that bliss? That bliss is in my brain, in each cell of my body. In Indian tradition we call soma, somras. It is described in Vedas, and it is not something otherworldly. It is very much the part of myself because nature took 14 billion years to create, to bring this soma, the elixir of life, the essence of the bliss. But the problem is, it is not available to me because my brain and body, they are not functioning fully. And why they are not functioning fully? Because my mind took over, my mind imposed. And the moment this mind is loosened, this body becomes free. It becomes like baby's body, the most beautiful, so tangible. Then you will really feel you are carrying the most beautiful baby inside you. Quite often people say, I want to recover my child inside me. What that means? That means a body which is free from the clutches of the mind. Mind is not imposed. And that is the first door of yoga of love and relationship. And in that body also happens the most blissful thing. And what is that? sex. Sex is the most sexy thing ever created. We sometimes call sexy dress, sexy food, sexy this and that. But in itself, and if you understand the physiology of sex, you will understand why. So, I will do that in 5 minutes and then we'll stop there. So, as we enter into the sex, what happens? Sex starts usually with top part of the brain. It is called neocortex, human brain. And this part of the brain is my story, my conditioning, my thought, my ideas, my projection, my ambitions, my idealism. All that is, we call human, is actually in this part of the brain. So, sex starts with that. I'm attracted, I'm feeling like I'm entering into it. But gradually, as the impulse of the sex is gaining power and movement, what is happening? I'm going deeper into my brain. So that is this surface part of the brain, human brain. Now I'm bypassing and I'm going into the very center part of the brain. And what lies in the center part of the brain? My feeling brain, my emotional brain, which is called mammalian brain, limbic brain. In this surface part of the brain, the time is linear. Past, present, future, past, present, future, past, present, future. But as I bypass and come to the center part of the brain, suddenly time is changed. And what is the time?
Present.
Time is present, here and now. So now, in this act of sex, I have bypassed all my past, all my future, and I am going into moment to moment, here and now, about which so many people talk. And the credit goes to a great neuroscientist, Antonio Damasio, who first time by his research work on damaged brain patient said very clearly, it is there. So now I'm experiencing here and now for which I was craving in my meditation, but it is available. But then we don't stop here. We don't stop here. We go even further down in the most ancient part of the brain, which is called reptilian brain. Reptilian brain. That is part of the brain which governs our body's heart, respiration, temperature, all those fundamentals, sleep and wake up cycle. Once I dip in this act of what we call sex, what happens to the time? Initially it was linear time, second time it was here and now. What happens here? There is no time at all. Time disappears. And when time disappears, what disappears also? My ego. Ego means time, mind means time. Ego is born in time, mind is born in time. But once I reach there at the climax, what we call orgasm, I'm touching this brain, and in this brain there is no time. What is experience is timelessness, spacelessness, eternity, infinite. I meet what we call God in the very act of it. That is why in French it is called pt.2, a mini death. Death of what? Death of my ego. And that is why these tantric sages, they observed and they said, you can, if you capture that moment in full awareness, you will be able to continue with that moment. So one of the method for tantric sages was to use orgasm as a door, the body, the door to the ultimate. And the same thing happened in Hatha Yoga. The body became the door, but it was Tantra mainly, because that is what they observed. So you can see that in our daily life, this is the first door. But please don't feel discouraged, because some of us cannot do it anymore as we are aging. There are so many doors. This is just one door we are opening, if it is available. But why it is not available? Why this opportunity is missed? Why we deny body? Why we discard it? That is what happened in religion. They talk about celibacy. Celibacy is very beautiful when it comes naturally, because 1% the population of the world is asexual. 1%, 70 million people in our world are asexual. They don't experience any sexual desire. Celibacy is wonderful for them, but rest, will destroy. It creates so many taboos. And Tantric sages is called the first knot of the life. Brahma Granthi, the knot of Brahma, that we somehow tied a knot to our body. Now body is the prisoner of this knot. Idea is to untie this knot. There are 3 knots. This is the first knot. The knot of the body, the Brahma Granthi. But we will talk about that tomorrow as we finish the body, and another door will open. Thank you very much. We will need this. So now will come the practice part, and Shivagi would like to. Meanwhile, any question? She's preparing. Or you will be sitting there? Okay, great.
Say just stay, everyone. Is there anyone who would like to share anything from yesterday's practice? Or if you have any question? Okay. So are we ready for the next practice? Today's practice is again a guided meditation on self-love, which we have been talking. Before you get in a comfortable posture, I would like you all to do some deep breathing, which I will be guiding, and then for a few moments, try and remember the most loving memory of your life. A memory from your childhood, from your teenage, from your younger years, from any time. And it need not to be a romantic love memory. It can be any memory. The moment you remember that, you're filled with love. It can be a love between you and your parent, you and your friend, you and your partner, you and your child, or anyone. But that memory always fills you with love. But before that, please try and close your eyes. And let's try and center ourselves within us after this beautiful long session. Sitting in a comfortable posture, closing our eyes and gently bringing our awareness to our breathing. Just observing our inhalations and our exhalations. Gently allowing these inhalations and exhalations to become slower and a little deeper. Any sounds, any distractions, let them pass through you. And in this relaxation, please try and remember that one memory which is full of love in your life. Allow your mind to recreate the whole memory right now within you. Let your body be loose. Let your emotions be loose. Allow this memory to come back fully to you.